Hey everybody, welcome back.
Welcome back to Lovecraftian Horrors and You.
Okay, so we have a few comics to talk about, and we're actually going to read them out of order a little bit, because I kind of want to talk about one particular thing first. So, oddly enough, we are not reading, we're actually going to skip one of the comics and just go straight to the adaptation comic that is supposed to come at the end of this set, but we're actually going to talk about it first. So, what did you think about the Sonic Blast adaptation?
Uh, Let me re-pull it up really fast. I don't know why I didn't immediately have it. Um,
So, are
is
you?
it bad to say it's one of the best in this set?
It
Is
is.
that bad to say?
It's a silver, and it's probably the best comic from the set. It's kind of sad. Uh,
Yeah, it's
so
it's my favorite one of these four that we're talking about,
so
and not for the reasons you think so.
so Sonic Blast is a 2D game on the Game Gear. That is not what this story is about. This story is about Sonic 3D Blast, which is the game for the Saturn. Uh or at least remade for the Saturn, which you should never play. You should play the Genesis version because it has better music. Uh Unfortunately the Saturn version of Sonic Blast has the most generic sounding soundtrack of like any Sonic game.
This is also one of the most recent Sonic games I've played.
Really?
I actually played it semi recently.
That's neat.
I mean, I like it. I like old Sonic games. It's just, I've said it once and I've said it 1,000 times. Sonic games are exercises in reaction time and memorization. And I'm slowly building back up my gamer reflexes to be able to master these games again.
So, unironically, I give Sonic 3D Blast a gold, and I give it a pretty high gold in my opinion. It's one of the better like experiences of a Sonic game, especially for
Mm-hmm.
the pre-adventure Sonic games. Like very rarely will I find a pre-adventure Sonic game I hate. Sorry, a post-adventure Sonic game that I absolutely abhor. A lot of the
Yeah,
pre-adventure games I have problems with. And
yeah. And they all have the same problem. Sonic
Sonic,
moves like a rocket off
yeah,
his meds.
Sonic Blast. I
He,
had to look up I had to look up some reviews for Sonic Blast after I played a little bit of it. Were you aware that Sonic Blast up until Shadow the Hedgehog was considered the worst Sonic game of all time?
I think I did hear that, and I was very confused every time
Yeah, because it's like
because
what
the
3D
game
Blast
is
is pretty good.
inoffensive. Also, I think people forget the Sonic R exists.
Yeah, I don't like Sonic R as much. It's got kind of cool music, but the actual gameplay of Sonic R is atrocious. Because I recently
Well,
on stream played
you're actually controlling a rocket at that point
yeah, I was playing
because
Sonic
that car does not move well.
I was playing Sonic CD on stream and I showed off the special stage which is UFO. UFO is basically what Sonic R is based on. It's just that you have to jump across water and the second you touch water like your timer halves.
You melt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just such an annoying special zone to play. And unfortunately, it's
Mm-hmm.
like one of the only ways to actually get out, to actually get like a good ending in Sonic CD because several levels will purposely shunt you into the bad future and then not give you a way out. Not really that big of a fan of Sonic CD. I went through it a lot. Don't want to talk about it again. Either way, uh, I gave
We're probably gonna.
Sonic Blast
We'll
original
probably talk
like
about stuff.
yeah a bronze because it's pretty bad. But there is stones in the Sonic universe, and it's not that. It is not the worst Sonic
Yeah,
game.
it's not. Sonic Blast is nowhere near the worst game. I've
Yeah.
played some bad Sonic games.
But what
I've
did you
played a
give
lot of bad ones.
What'd you give 3D Blast at least?
Oh, it's way more fun. Sonic controls a touch better in the
Yeah.
3D Blast one. I also like the vibrancy more. It's just something about being on a different generation of console that makes the colors of the game pop more.
Yeah.
And plus, I just like the flickies.
Flickies
I
are
like the flicky birds. I love them.
okay.
I love any time that they're in a game.
One of the reasons why I kind of wanted to talk about this first is because there is a moment in 3D Blast, so sorry, the adaptation of Sonic Blast in this comic that again, we're going to just skip to this. Robotnik goes through the special zone, their version of the like warp rings into a the Flickies dimension, which has a massive statue with a Chaos Emerald embedded into it. The second they remove
Mhm.
it, the statue comes to life, and it's revealed that a Super Flicky is currently like trapped in stone underneath
Guarding.
and is the
Yeah.
guardian of that emerald. And my brain
Hmm.
started like the gears started turning. I went, right, okay, Flickies are weird because they have innate chaos abilities. Like
Yeah.
you can't really
Which is why, yeah, it's why they're used in like Sonic Adventure as batteries.
yeah. And it's kind of funny because, it's like as they kind of move away from Flickies in total into Mobinis, which are the creatures that pop out of robots in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Like you
Hmm.
you have this moment where you see these birds and they directly tell you these birds are weird because they have innate chaos abilities. And it's like, how weird are we
Hmm.
talking about? How about we actually get
Knuckles weird.
yeah, how about we get into the actual like adaptation before I go on too much of a tangent. So this was written by Gallagher and the art is from
Oh,
Mulvaney.
you can tell.
And
You can just tell.
and I love how the second that Robotnik turns around, page one, Robotnik turns around going, "I am doing this thing," and Snively then plugs in a transmitter and goes, "Oh, don't worry, we're completely secure." As like Sally and Rotor are now getting his like communications. Like, what the heck? Why are they doing this? And then Snively is like, "Yeah, why am I doing this?" And it's like, huh. So there's a moment where Sally gets this gets the radio signal and she's going over to Sonic, who is like relaxing back. And as
Because
they're
she knows exactly where he is.
yeah, and as they're
Like she
talking,
knows his favorite spots.
a little word bubble comes up, and I think I need to read this word bubble verbatim with the piece of dialogue that comes from this. Sonic basically looks over at Sally and goes, "Well, if you must know, I've been thinking about Knuckles the Echidna and the conflicting stories you've told me about your past life with him. There is an asterisk, and then goes down to the box that says Sally's memories have changed between Triple Trouble and Mecha Madness. And I do not know if they are indicating something of like, oh no, we have just retconned what her memories are in between those two stories, or she isn't completely telling the truth about something. And when she's alone with Knuckles, it sounds like that she's like, yeah, we had something, but now we don't. And it's kind of a fascinating little thing that they never really touch on again in later Sonic comics, you know?
I think that because they don't touch on it again, it's a retcon.
Yeah.
It
And
was not the last retcon either in
yeah.
Sally's life.
So Robotnik is now on the Flickies Island, and he has a portable roboticizer that is trapping in Flickies and then setting them out as robotic little bird enemies. And as Sonic, Rotor, and Tails are on their way to Flicky Island to intercept, they get attacked by a swarm of them, which suddenly, when they get splashed with salt water, instantly turn back into flickies. And it's like, what? And then even Robotnik later, he's like, what? It's like, that's not supposed to be a thing. And I think this comes up like one other time later on into the story. It has nothing to do with the roboticizer being weak to salt water. It's the fact that the presence of salt water, for some reason, reverts Flickies back to normal. And it's like, what? And the comic basically just goes, "Oh, that's cool," and then just kind of runs with it. Like Rotor and Tails like load up Super Soakers and start shooting birds down like it's D-Day. The like
They
it's
had to have had those super soakers ready to go beforehand. They didn't know the flickies would be part of this.
yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like, what? I was like, you know what? Let's
Well,
just
they are kids. They are kids, need I remind you.
but there's a really great moment where Sonic goes like, I was like, watch this. And then the narrator goes, faster than the eye can see, Sonic scoops up a handful of seawater, and before the physics can displace the water, he turns him into a ball and just throws the ball of water at some flickies. And I'm like, ha, you know what? Sonic is already
Makes
busted
logical
enough. You didn't
sense.
need to tell me that like he's so flat, he's so fast that he gives the Flash a run for his money because the Flash even says that like physics still work in weird ways in
In
when you're using the
Speed
Speed
Force.
Force. Yeah. So Sonic is literally just going, I am moving this thing so fast that water tension hasn't cut yet. And it's like, what? Sonic, that it's like you can't just tell physics to not work. But yeah, it is this kind
It
of
could
funny.
also be that he's already supercharged with chaos energy, so he could just do weird stuff.
Yeah, and this is only like phase like 1 out of like 6 of him getting like infused with chaos energy. Where it's like,
Yeah, he's not even fully baked yet.
so Robotnik finds one of those portals where it's like the rings are on the ground, and when you go into the rings they like go into the warp dimension with for the flickies. And Sonic intercepts him before he could jump into it. And they have this kind of funny moment where Robotnik shoots him with his particle beam, and then you just see a like a vaporized Sonic, and he's like, "Oh, I did it!" And then Sonic gives him a wedgie. He's like, "Did you really think that was gonna work? Like, come on, dude!" And
Like if that would have, if something like that would have worked on Sonic, Sonic would have been dead years ago.
there's this great moment where they're just like squaring up to each other, and Sonic and Robotnik like touch noses as they're like getting so close. The Robotnik goes, "Ha ha! You forgot about the taser that's in my nose," and I'm like, "What?" It's like, Robotnik, can you stop?
What? You know what? They made Sonic able to throw actual water balls. They might as well give the guy a taser nose too.
This later comes up when Sonic grabs Robotnik by the cape and he's like pulling him back, and then he presses a button to
Wrap
remove his
them up.
cape, and the cape then reactively then wraps around Sonic because, quote, it is a cape that I control by electromagnets woven in the fabric. And I'm like, Robotnik, you need to stop. You need to stop this, please. He's like, I have just sort of the contingency for you touching my nose. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. But okay, so after like going in deep into the Flicky's dimension and getting the Chaos Emerald from the stone and upsetting the Super Flicky, there's a moment where Sonic races Robotnik out of the portal. And Sonic knocks him back into the portal as he is leaving it, and the portal starts shutting. And Robotnik goes, "Uh-oh, this is bad." As Sonic is like, um, you know what? Fine, I might as well help you. As the ring, um, there is a thing in science fiction called the warp hole guillotine. The entire
Oh
idea
yeah,
of
I
it
love
is
the idea.
when you create a
It's so
warp
good.
point between one place and another and then close it, there are two things that can happen. One, uh, anything that is on one side gets shunted out into the other side. This is also the same thing with like if a portal is in the middle of like a rock face. Like if you were to try to go through the portal, you can't because then the portal would just be a solid wall. It's like you can't just like make a teleport into a solid object. They would just get shunted off into different places. The other one is is a theory that if a portal closes between two areas, whatever is between those two spots instantly just stays the way that it is. So if you put, let's just say, half of a person inside of a portal and then close it, one half of that body is now in one place and the other half is in the other place, an atomically clean slice. And effectively, they do that with a warp ring where the ring just starts closing on Robotnik gets most of his body out, but it still has his arm trapped in. And as it's going down, because the ring is a physical object, it just starts crushing all of the metal inside of his arm. Um, but it's not slowing down because it does not care about like his arm being there. So it's just gonna crush it through sheer force if he doesn't get his arm out because he doesn't want to let go of the Chaos Emerald. And I'm like, what a fascinating like thing to put into this comic. I did not expect this to
Oh
show
yeah,
up, especially since we
this
later find the person who invented the warp rings and they use them in very interesting ways. So, and rarely do they ever actually use Whirlpool guillotine logic. Usually they just use it as like a quick getaway, but sometimes
I
they use it in terms of opening up a portal to basically just like uh to just kind of matador things out of the way. And it's kind of neat,
yeah.
but never in my immediate thought do they ever use warp rings in this sort of way ever again.
I think because it's just too gruesome for their rating. Also, we got our first swear, I think, courtesy of Robotnik. It's at the top of page 24.
Oh, where it's just censored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Interesting.
We got our first swear, everybody.
Yeah, we have to wait until Sonic X to see that.
Yeah.
Uh I still like bringing that up that Sonic swears in Sonic X. It's like, what? Why? It's like
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
it.
he's so much.
So Robotnik is defeated. All of his roboticizer and all of the robotic flickies are defeated. And Sonic, Tails, and Rotor just start sailing off on off of the island, and he's like, "Wait, how am I supposed to get back?" And Sonic basically goes, "Why should we care?" And Robotnik's like, That's not fair. That's not fair." It's just like wading out into the water a little bit. It's like, "No, you gotta take us with us." And it's like, "Nah, we're out of here. Goodbye."
Because they know he'll find his way home somehow.
Uh, so to quickly summarize the B sides of this. They do this little like funny little award ceremony where it's like we want to showcase different aspects about the freedom fighters, but Rotor is like I couldn't get like a good picture of them in the moment. So they're just like, yeah, whatever.
So Sally just unceremoniously ends it.
Yeah. The other B-side is Robotnik and Snively dressed up as plants,
Oh yeah,
uh,
this one.
waiting for Bunny to wake up because they placed a tracking chip on her, and they're gonna follow her to uh the hideout, and it's like, okay, very simple. It's a very classic comic. I would not be surprised if this was a comic that was supposed to come out like issue 9, 10 around there, and it just kind of got delayed and delayed, and so they're like, we might as well just stick it back here, you know?
Yeah.
Got
Also,
that sort of vibe.
Snively looks like he's straight out of a school play with his costume, and Robotnik is not even trying.
Yeah. Although I do like the gag of the bouncy lily pads, and so Robotnik goes, "Okay, I'm gonna jump onto it," and because of his weight displacement, he just flies right into a tree. And it's like,
Oh
you know
yeah,
what? I kind of like this logic of physics. Okay, this works. And of course, like
yeah,
a bunny gets distracted by something, and the tracker gets like the tracker like gets lost, and so they start digging in a different place than usual.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, and that's basically all of Sonic Blast the adaptation. Which, as I said earlier, I gave a silver, and I'm guessing you did the same.
yeah.
It's not bad. It's just kind of average.
No, it's not. It also doesn't help the other comics that this is the best one of the lot.
Okay.
Are we gonna go to the Cthulhian horrors next, or
So there is a bit of lore about Sonic Live as a comic. And a lot of people, when they first read the comic, in any regard, basically start reading it, they're like, what is this? And I have heard people, when they originally read this comic, they unironically think that it was like some kid that won a contest to be in a Sonic comic. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. Even on the cover, they show this a real photograph of two kids looking at a TV of a uh, poorly drawn Sonic is coming out of the TV. Although I will admit that kid has an impressive collection of Sega games. I will admit.
yeah, his
Um
dad must work at Nintendo or something.
or his uncle must work at Archie. Uh so the lore of this is that the boy in this comic, let me find his name again. His name is Steve. I don't think these are their actual names. Has a sister name and his sister named Jessie. He is the son of Ken Penders, and
Oh,
Jessie is played by his niece. In which these photos were taken like randomly one day, and Ken was like, "Oh, I could use this for an idea for a story." And so he took these pictures. He took a picture of the outside of his house and like a few like interior shots so we can like mash some things up. And the whole idea is that these two kids get isekai'd into Sonic's world. And from the get-go, it is already a cursed idea. A very
it
cursed
it
idea to put real life photographs of kids into a comic. Um,
yeah.
he got the go ahead, but the two adults that later show up are the two lead devs at Sega of America. And the place that Robotnik uh teleports to later on in the comic that has the two people prisoner, that was supposed to be an exterior shot of the Sega of America headquarters.
Hmm.
And the whole idea was that like Robotnik had entered the real world where he could then take control over the way that the games are made to always make him win. And on paper, that is actually kind of funny. I like the idea
Oh yeah,
where he's just like, okay, so this is where all of my world is created. I will just change the outcome.
yeah. He just reaches into the code, even though these are comics.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they could not get authorization to show the front of Sega of America's headquarters in time. So instead, they just sent them to Zen from Half-Life. Not really sure what that idea was about, but hey, at least the story is not as weird. It still is weird.
Yeah,
It still
it's
deserves to
still
be
very weird.
kind of made fun of. But uh, if you
I
could
mean,
not tell,
it's just
the
so
the script and art is
strange.
made by Ken Penders. Uh, like I don't think I have to explain that. And I kind of want to say that this is one of the first times that, like, if you do not know anything about Ken as he later shows up, this is one of those moments where you just go, "What is he on?" It's like, "What's going on with him?"
I
It,
believe they call it ego
yes.
and death of the author.
So, due to a
Ego and
quantum
death of the
glitch,
author sound good.
Sonic pulls Steve and Jesse into his world. What is currently going on at the time is that all of the freedom fighters have been captured, and Sally has a mind control device on her so that if Sonic does not show up in time, Sally will roboticize all of the freedom fighters and then herself. I was like, okay, that sounds about right. You know, it's not like the most inventive thing in the world, but okay.
Sounds
And
like a Ken Pender script to me.
there is then absolutely no plot between this and the B-sides. I am serious. Like, even though I just said, oh yeah, Robotnik like goes into the real world and he tries to make a bunch of duplicates to like make some stuff, all it is panels of the human characters talking to the Sonic characters, and they go, wow, I'm fake in your universe? That's weird. And they're like, yeah, Sonic, that is kind of weird. Okay, okay, we're done with the comic now. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, it's like all of this for no plot. Uh, the entire plot hinges on the idea that it is a fun, novel idea to put human characters into a Sonic story. And the
It's
story,
kind of like a chicken wing opposed to like a chicken breast. The B side is a chicken breast.
the
The
one
A
thing,
side is a chicken wing.
yeah, uh, there is actually a really funny moment where Sonic is like, I don't know the code to get into the computer. And the kid basically goes, I know the code by heart. And Sonic goes, what is it? And they put onto the keypad that looks like a Genesis controller the cheat code for the character select. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute. I kind of liked that. And that's not something that Ken at the beginning of Archie Comics and Ken later on would have done. Because again, like Ken's son is a massive fan of Sonic. It's one of the only reasons why Ken is working on the comic in the first place. It and so if this comic was partially written by Ken's son, I completely understand that. Where it's just like,
Well,
oh
it's got
yeah,
more
and then I put in
whimsy.
the code for this, and then I help Sonic out because that's cool. And it's just like, huh, now that I really think about it, maybe the idea really was Ken asked his son to write the story for a comic, and then Ken spruced it up. I totally understand if that's where this comic came from. Like at least the
Oh
core
yeah.
idea of it.
Well, it feels like a bit of a fever dream mixed with action figure play
Yeah.
is what this comic is. Doesn't make it especially good, but it makes it understandable.
Uh the B side of this comic is just a like it's like, and this is how they got to this position where it's like this small little explanation for like how Sally got over there in the first place to get mind controlled. Not really that interesting. What we
No.
do want to talk about is the other B side, that is the continuation to Knuckles' story. So Knuckles was sent on a quest to find the six people that are connected to King Acorn, which again is kind of like the Master Emerald and then the six Chaos Emeralds. And if you go,
Yeah.
wait, isn't there seven Chaos Emeralds? Shh, don't worry. Every single Sonic comic gets this weirdly confused at times where they're like, no, 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 the green Chaos Emerald is the Master Emerald, right? Because even in Sonic the Comic, for a while, they were like, oh no, there are six Chaos Emeralds, and then the Master Emerald, which is the seventh Emerald. And then the silver one is actually the Master Emerald in power, but like we don't talk about that because that's weird. Like there was this like massive amount of just confusion about like the number 7 and 6 of like how many emeralds there actually are at any time, to the point where it's like, oh yeah, there's like 30, and then you realize, oh, it's because Chaos Emeralds as a whole are just like shards of this meteorite. Okay, but yeah, it's like going away from that though. Sorry, weird tangent. Not sure why I was going that. So Knuckles is trying to find the first of the six. And the first one that he come across is the charlatan, who is an illusionist. And so what he does to basically defend his house is that he has a bunch of quote storybook monsters to defend his house, as he is constantly in the back room of his house just not doing much and just defending all of his knowledge from any intruder by putting formidable illusions in place for them to think that like it is too much for them to handle. And I kind of like that. It was like I was thinking charlatan as like duplicitous, but I guess illusionist kind of
Like
works.
a like the stereotype of a used car salesman.
Yeah. And it is revealed who this character is when he basically gives his regards to King Acorn as he sends Knuckles off. This man is not just a regular guy. This guy is Merlin Prowler, Tails'
And
uncle.
we don't know it's his uncle yet. We just know he shares the same last name.
I know, but it's like it's very obvious that it's like
Well, yeah.
they share the last name. Clearly, they're related to each other,
Uh-huh.
and it's
What
like
you doing, buddy? You
what?
got an orphaned nephew out fighting a grown-ups war.
And then he points to his name tag, charlatan. Oh, okay. Don't worry, we got it.
Oh, okay, irresponsible parenting.
So there was actually a
Wouldn't
really
be a freedom fighter without it.
So there was actually a really funny moment where I stopped and just pointed at my comic and went, "I think what you did was illegal. You can't do that." Uh, so Knuckles is fighting one of the illusionary beasts, and out pops a two cheetah-looking monsters with weird tails.
Oh,
I
yeah,
pointed to them and went, "Are these just D&D displacer beasts? Just changed instead of panthers, they're cheetahs? Did did you
I
really get
think they
away with
are.
this?
I think you're right.
It's just
And they
really
did.
it's just
I
really
think they
funny
did.
because if you look up Sonic Archie Displacer Beast, you instantly get you get
Get that image.
that panel.
Because they have the tails.
Yeah, they have the
All
spade.
of these are technically D&D monsters.
Yeah, not sure what the frog demon could be. At first, I thought it was a rest eater, but rest eaters are insectoid.
That's a beholder with tentacles.
The I was more thinking of the frog demon though, the one with the tongue.
Oh.
and has like camouflage abilities. I'm like, what even is this? And I was like, I do wonder if all of them are supposed to be like actual like D&D monsters though, like given like a cheeky like coat of paint.
Yeah, a legally distinct bra holder, legally distinct displacer beast, legally distinct Lich King.
Yeah. So it goes without saying that Sonic Life might actually be one of the worst Sonic comics. I say one of because we are going to get to the actual worst Sonic comic of all time.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
and that is
and
definitely
this
later.
B side is still pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a
Um,
tentative bronze with a question mark onto it because who knows?
yeah. The only thing keeping it from being a stone is that Merlin is here,
Yeah.
and Merlin's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he is a
I
very
love it whenever Merlin shows up. He's of no help to the characters, like morally or like information wise. He's just there to vibe.
this is one of the best times to actually bring it up, but in Sonic the Comic, the British comic series, which started during right after Sonic 1 was released. So they actually have like a and then ended right before Sonic Adventure was coming out. Or at least just as it was coming out. So like their last storyline was Sonic Adventure, in which they have a very strange like chaos in that one because they have to align it to the universe that they're in. For
Mm-hmm.
context, Sonic the Comic is not a Sonic comic. Just like how Sonic is technically part of the Archie universe and a bunch of Archie related characters can interact with Sonic and the other way around. Sonic the Comic was actually a magazine about about Sega as a whole. And so you had a lot of Sega properties mixing in with the Sonic characters. So they did some cheeky things where it's like they utilized the lore of other Sega games for Sonic lore. And it gets really weird places sometimes in that. But one of the things that was really fascinating about it was instead of Archie having a bunch of echidnas that Knuckles can interact with, Sonic the Comic has a bunch of foxes for Tails to interact with. And all and Tails comes from a medieval universe in which all of them use magic and swords and all that type of stuff. And Tails is weird because when he comes into Sonic's universe, he doesn't have as much magical potential. He has two tails, which is weird, and and he's now interfacing with technology, which he can't really do as much because magic and tech don't really mix well. And so Tails is this very fascinating character who is basically the mage with no spell slots character in their party. And I find that that's kind of neat whenever you start looking into like the side characters of both of these both of these comics, and you're like, okay, when they're given free space, what do they do?
Yeah. Like,
And
which of the trio do they focus on?
yeah, Sonic the Comics goes some weird places. Amy becomes incredibly cool. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
her. I love her British punk rock design where she's wearing plaid skirts and just band t-shirts. Her girlfriend is also very cool. And they just
Yeah.
blatantly say in the 90s, oh yeah, these two girls are totally dating and it's very funny.
Oh, yeah.
Um but yeah, Sonic Live, very bad. I do not recommend
Yeah,
anyone
not
read it.
good. Not good.
So, let's actually talk
Read the
about
B
the
story, skip the rest of it.
yeah, let's actually talk about the real Sonic comics for a bit then. Okay. So,
Okay. Well,
issue 34 from the outset is incredibly fascinating. There is not a lot of content to this comic though, because most of it is a flashback. Most of it is flashbacks that are actually from the SatAM cartoon, just repurposed for the comic to kind of give the comic readers the context for the that people already knew from SatAM, in which it's a lot of the backstory that was from the second to last episode, in which we actually get to see King Acorn, like the childhood of Sally and stuff like that. But it's all as he is sitting on a gurney in the hospital as they're trying to make it so that he doesn't fully turn into a Chaos Emerald or crystallize or whatever the
Yeah.
heck is going on with him. And
Yeah, I think this is one of the starts of this becoming a techno fantasy series.
yeah,
More
so
so than just a weird slice of life kids cartoon series.
so this was written by Penders, and the art was mostly by Gallon. The only thing different is whenever they go into the flashback, it's now written by Spaziante. Well, drawn by Spaziante.
Yeah.
And it's technically written by the SatAM crew. So there is this like almost dividing line whenever you go into the flashbacks that you're like, oh, this feels different. And I kind of like that because it instantly like shifts gears whenever you go into that. Uh, we get introduced to one of the longer running side characters that is introduced for the comic that hasn't been introduced in the Knuckles miniseries at the Knuckles side series is at this point. We get introduced to Dr. Horatio Quinton Quack. um,
Yeah, I along with Merlin, this is like if you sat down and forced me for like 4 hours to do an Archie Sonic tier list, this guy would be up in the A's
so much stuff happens
along
to
with
this
Merlin.
guy.
He is just everywhere. He's doing everything. I swear he's the only like trained medical doctor of the series, and he just randomly taps people to be his assistants when he's desperate.
So, Dr. Quack is one of King Acorn's most trusted medical advisors. And because of that, he runs the the medical clinic in the interdimensional space that we do not know where it currently is in Knothole. Because it looks like it's
Yeah,
a
it's like
pretty
probably
because it looks like the size of a
yeah,
regular hospital, but where would it be in Knothole?
probably underground somewhere.
It just feels weird.
Except for the times it's not underground, because like not whole might as well be a pocket dimension.
I mean, technically it literally is, but uh, but we haven't
Yeah,
gotten there yet.
I mean,
Uh,
I think they make it a pocket dimension at one point, but whether that's true at this point is a separate question.
uh, but yeah, Dr. Quack comes out as a very charismatic but comedic guy who would rather want people to feel at ease than to be worried about stuff. And he's also incredibly competent when it comes to medical knowledge.
Yeah, for someone whose name is Dr. Quack, he's a superb doctor.
I have been
He's like the
giving
kind that you would trust. He's the kind who you would trust him with your life to do brain surgery type of competent.
I've been giving him the voice of Dr. Cox from Scrubs this whole time because I think that's hilarious. Um,
I mean, fair.
okay, so after basically hitting a King Acorn with magical and now technological sources, it really does seem like that there's no way to really reverse this. There's only a way to kind of pause it. And while they're in the middle of like a bunch of like flashback stuff, Joffrey shows up, because you got to make sure that he still exists. And
Yeah. You know, Ken can't let you forget for a single issue that this smarmy guy is in fact still alive.
and the line from Sat AM then shows up, which is give give Ixis my regards, which in Sat AM has absolutely
Oh,
no weight since this is the second to last episode of the whole series, and we don't really even get to
I
see
forgot
uh
because they
Ixis
were
Nox's
supposed to get a
design.
second season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the design in the
I
comics
forgot
is
he was.
uh based off the concept art for Naugus when they were originally going to make him the villain of season 3, but they never got to use him, so instead they just shunted him over to the comics, which is kind of a neat way to do it. It's basically using the comics as a season 3 from this point on effectively.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and then Doctor Quack takes out his Technobabble blender.
the brain scrambler from Batman Forever, yes.
It just looks like a blender full of pieces of fruit or like fool's gold in there.
Uh
It's so wacky. It's got little wings
yeah,
and a handle.
it's literally the brain scrambler from Batman Forever, where it's just a blender with weird like flanges, and then they just threw in a bunch of golf balls for no reason. It's
Uh-huh.
and he's like, okay, we're gonna use this. Does anyone have a problem? And it's like, well, what does it do? It's like, well, it shunts someone's personality into King Acorn's head for a little bit, and then after a little bit, you will come out, and we will see what happens.
Hmm. But you might die.
And
So
so
any volunteers?
and Joffrey
And we
basically
get
goes,
4 volunteers.
Joffrey goes, I will volunteer, and then Sonic goes, no. And it's like, okay, we'll flip on it. And they flip a
Yeah,
coin, and I like how tails is the tails on the coin. It's kind of a cute visual
pretty
joke, but
funny.
it does beg the question of where did they get these official coins minted with tails on them? Apparently, this might
Or
actually
does
be like
Joffrey just?
it might be a piece of merch actually. It might actually be like a real like piece of merch where it's like Sonic on one side, Tails on the other.
Yeah.
So, Sonic goes inside of King Acorn's brain as thinks he's still in the void, in the zone of silence, and he is fighting with Kodos. Kodos being Ix's what right hand man, as they state in the flashback. And there's a moment where they're all fighting, and then suddenly face um Feist shows up. Feist is a gargantuan panda that just lives inside the zone of silence. He is effectively the god of that dimension. And he is just like, okay, what's going on? And King Acorn is like, oh, yeah, I'm not fighting you. I'm not doing any of this. And Kodos is like, I'm willing to fight. And then he just gets evaporated.
He gets turned to ash, and we don't see him for a while.
Yeah. And upon like meeting with Feist, the comic ends. It's like, what? And this is like a 1 page later. There, Sonic's just like out. It's like, yeah, I did all the best I could do, and it's like, well, that's all that we could do. And then like the um King Acorn had enough enough around in his brain for him to gain a little bit of consciousness, but it doesn't really do much.
It also doesn't reverse the emeraldness of it all.
Yeah, I completely forgot to have actually my my headphones plugged in. So it just like sent me an alert of like you are a low battery. Like whoops. Okay, so there is one other thing I kind of want to talk about this comic. It is it is oddly it is oddly paced.
Yeah.
I I'm not
This
saying
seems
that
like
it's
two issues stacked together.
but also it feels like that they didn't have a good way to conclude. So it's just like one page of Sonic waking up and then going, "Well, that's all we could do." And they're basically like, "Well, we're going to let him recover. We're going to see what happens." He still has half of his face visible, so he's not fully just like choking on being made of stone. And there was kind of a cool moment where Acorn basically asked like is like what is currently going on in the outside world, and he blatantly tells him your daughter is working very hard to keep the spirit of of your kingdom and Mobius alive. So don't worry just so yet because we will help you out of this situation. And it is kind of neat how at least he kind of knows. Uh,
Yeah.
so what did you think about this
At least
comic?
Sonic brings him up to speed.
Yeah.
This, if Joffrey wasn't here, it would be a low silver. I don't know if it's still a low silver. It's just every time I see him, I don't like him.
So you're willing to give this one a
And that,
bronze, and then I'm willing to give it like a silver.
yeah, it floats somewhere in there. It's right on the line.
So now let's talk about the comic that made me go on a rant for like 3 hours. So
Okay, and we
this,
unfortunately do not have 3 hours.
so this is issue 44. Uh, Unironically, this might be one of the most confusing issues so far in all of Sonic.
Oh
Sorry, not
yeah,
confusing, confounding. That is the correct word.
yeah,
Uh, so Penders is on the script. You can tell because they're using Evil Sonic. Gallon on
yeah.
art, which I think he does pretty well. I there are
He
some
tries his best.
there are some facial features that are kind of weird, but it's not really about that. It's about the state of the world that is always confusing to me. Okay, let's go through this. Let's go through this. Before I say anything, how do you feel about Scottish Knuckles?
I forgot he was Scottish.
So
I keep thinking he's Canadian French for some reason.
yeah,
It's
I always
probably
keep thinking he's
that.
French, but he's saying like laddie and he's like all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, wait, is
Oh yeah,
and they imply later, I think Evil Knuckles shows up one more time, and they imply the idea that like the echidnas of this universe are basically like the Irish mafia, and so it's like,
which is
oh,
fair.
yeah, so it's like they just straight up imply that like Evil Knuckles works for the IRA, and I just find that very funny. It's like,
I mean, that's probably the thing that makes the most sense in this entire comic.
but besides that, it is an evil Sonic comic, so there's gonna be a little bit of stupidity just like sitting in there. So,
Yeah,
Rotor is showing off like some of his new tech to Sonic when he gets a notification that something is going on the floating island. And before they could say anything, Sally is already like telling them that they've got the plane juiced to get to the island, in which they are then at an airport about to take off in a space shuttle to get to the island. And I'm just like giant question marks by page 3.
there's no sense of time in this issue is the main problem.
Yeah, it
Also, Roger has a massive grenade launcher gun.
yeah. He has a little thing that looks like it's a
A Dremel.
that looks like it's like something that you would like it's an automatic it's an automatic wrench or something in which he just
Yeah.
shakes it and then it turns into the super scope from a legally distinct super scope. Uh, but Knuckles is on the floating island, and evil Sonic is there, and he's like, "Well, I've got to get this emerald because of reasons that I can't explain to you." And then evil Knuckles comes up, punches Knuckles in the face, and then goes, "I really need this emerald. I cannot explain this to you." And before they can do anything, they both retreat back into the warp hole that they're using to get there. And and of course the first thing that Archimedes does is basically go, "How'd you let them do that?" It's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Also you could have helped." And Archimedes is like, "I refuse to help."
I refuse to be of use until you win a fight.
So Sonic and the rest of the team show up at Angel Island on their suspicious runway that's just in the middle of the island. Uh, and
And Tails' neck is like three times the size.
yeah, that's a weird panel. And which they basically get the lowdown on everything that has happened so far, and they're like, okay, well now we got to go. They're basically like, well, since Evil Sonic and the evil freedom fighters came over to our dimension, we get to go over to their dimension for once to kind of like mess with their stuff. And they use this plane to basically look to basically follow Sonic across the cosmic interstate. And there's a moment where Sally gets a moment alone with Knuckles and they basically reminisce about their backstory, which basically is uh King Acorn was on the floating island for a diplomatic mission when Knuckles comes out of a bush and they basically just starts talking to each other. And because they both have daddy issues, they instantly got
Really
along well
bad
with each
ones.
other.
Oh yeah, they relate.
And Sally basically ends this flashback um with basically saying, "I will deal with explaining things to Sonic better at some other point. I do not need to deal with this right now." And
Yeah.
and at that point they hit the off ramp to go into the into Evil Sonic's universe. And the first thing that happens is Rotor sends up a little drone to kind of look around for things. And while it's up, instantly Evil Sonic and Evil Knuckles are on them and just attacking them. And I was like,
How'd
okay.
they follow them? I'm very confused about how they followed them. Wouldn't this have been a perfect time to go after the Emerald?
Yeah,
Or
I
is
don't
this
know.
just a thinly veiled plot for a team up fight?
Meanwhile, uh, Knuckles and Evil Knuckles are fighting, and Tails checks his watch because he's like, man, this is so boring. Like, can we do something else? And Evil Knuckles is like, okay, I won't hurt you then. It's like, what? And he goes, I'm technically a pacifist. I'm not really supposed to be fighting. And it's like, oh. And so Evil Knuckles basically goes, listen, my Master Emerald is breaking down. I cannot keep the island safe for much longer. We need some sort of backup power source to try to figure out a way to fix it. Keep this in mind. The entire reason why they went over there is to find a Chaos Emerald to refuel an infinite energy generator because the energy is running low.
And the island is Atlantis.
Yes. Contrary to the floating island, it is the sunken island, which I instantly kind of giggled at. I then stopped giggling when I realized that they literally just called it Atlantopolis and went, "Boo! That is a lame name. Don't call it that." And they get down in onto the island, and the first thing that they find when they're down there is Robotnik from the normal universe just doing something. He's like, "Well, I have to get raw materials. Raw materials of what? Well, uh, this energy powers this. The energy from this universe powers this gun. What do you mean by that?" He doesn't really explain. He just says this gun is more powerful because I'm in this universe.
And then he fires it.
And and so all of them get rounded up except for like okay, Robotnik has the situation on lockdown. He's got this under control. He's and Sonic and the crew are now kidnapped. Cut to Tails swimming outside of the barrier for two panels. Uh, Tails, how did you get there? Why weren't you with the group? What are you doing now? How did you get back? What? And it's just him.
Where are you going and why are you going?
And then evil Sonic and evil Knuckles realize that they've been betrayed. And I think I think there was even like this little like quip where it's like, yeah, of course evil Knuckles would is just as gullible as the regular Knuckles, of course.
Hey, there has to be some constants in the world.
Just like how
Probably if there
Sonic's
was
ego stays the
a
same.
shadow. Yeah, probably if there was a shadow in this version, he would be identical to the one normal.
I did hear someone say that they tried to they wanted to originally say that Silver was the shadow from the evil universe, and I'm like, no, you're not gonna do that. Sega
Yeah,
would not allow you to
that
do
makes
that.
no sense.
So this is where the comic goes off the rails, and I got so upset. Okay, so
Yeah.
the two Knuckles go, okay, reposition the emerald in the best way so we could do this. As Sonic and Sally are distracting Robotnik. Then suddenly, they get Robotnik's attention, and he whips around to shoot them, and he shoots the Master Emerald squarely, causing it to explode into smaller emeralds. They're basically dissipating the energy of the six emeralds that made up the Master Emerald into its regular components. Knuckles then puts a code into the wall to activate a panel to insert the regular Chaos Emeralds into the wall.
And it's not evil Knuckles who's from this world. It's regular Knuckles.
So it implies that this exact same panel is in the normal universe. And they're just like, oh yeah, just put the emeralds into these receptacles. Okay. And then all of their problems go away. It's like, wait, how? What? No, what?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
And then
How?
they leave, and then they meet Tails on the surface.
No,
So we
Tails is just
swam
there.
all the way.
And it's just like, about time you showed up.
No, I mean, when they come out to leave, Tails is like perfectly fine and dry, with no signs that he has swam for miles.
Yeah, and and of course Rotor's there too. And so I was like, oh, okay. So both of you are here now. Um, what's going on? And then Rotor goes, I sent up my drone. It was useless. We forgot it was in this comic. And it's like, oh, that's okay, Rotor.
I
As they
think
have a
they
laugh.
forgot Rotor was in the comic.
Uh, then they go walk off, and Evil Sonic is still tied up in the shuttle. Like, then we're gonna let me go? And Evil Knuckles goes, no. And it's like, you know what? Fair. This is a fair outcome. And
Yeah,
then the comic ends.
I'm glad it ended exactly like how it began. Confusing.
Yeah, like world building wise, this is one
And
of
by
the most
glad, I'm
confusing
disappointed.
comics, like in the entire series. I am willing to give this one the stone just because of how confounding this whole thing is.
In the long run, it should get a stone. I think Sonic Live. Well, no, we didn't give Sonic Live the stone
No,
because,
we gave it a tentative bronze.
yeah, because Merlin was there.
Yeah. And I might change my opinion on that after we get to issue 50, but like
Yeah,
right
I'm
now,
gonna withhold stone for this, but it's
yeah.
pretty close.
Yeah, 44 might
I
be one of the
liked Irish Knuckles though.
yeah. I will say there were some fascinating things about this comic, and none of them were good, and it was very
I
strange
wish
to read.
they had been, or I wish that the ideas had been executed well or would be expounded upon well in the future.
And again,
I forget the next time we see Bray Knuckles, but it might be when he gets defeated by Evil Sonic again.
the weird part is if you try to actually look up Evil Knuckles, like all you get is the Dark Future Knuckles, and that is not the one that I mean. That is why it's so hard.
No, finding this guy is very difficult in the fandom wikis. Everyone forgets he exists, which is fair. Yeah, so this was a confusing comic.
I I really hate it. I really hate like a lot of the stuff that's in this comic.
I I will let this be the stone
Okay.
since it affected you so poorly.
Again, I ranted for like an hour about the emerald receptacles because it implies the fact that that's in the original universe and they could have done this at any time to things like I don't know, the shard of the emerald that was coming for the Master Emerald, and they're like, how do we get it out of the way? Well, we can't move the Master Emerald. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I would not be surprised if this entire comic is retconned to not have existed.
Technically, it wasn't.
Uh,
there's some parts of it
If you ask someone who
that
has
you can
only read the
still feel
IDW
the
comics,
echoes.
this entire of everything in the Archie Sonic comics got retconned, but that's neither here nor there.
We'll talk about that in the future.
Okay, so either way, that's basically all we had to talk about. Was there anything, any last minute thing you wanted to include?
No,
Well, okay then. Thank everyone for watching. This was a lot less fascinating than it could have been. Well, see you later, everybody.
see ya.